Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a principle that changed my life, one that I wish someone had told me much earlier. You cannot walk the road to wealth alone. Most people like to picture themselves as self-made, as if they pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps and carved out their fortune with nothing but raw grit. But the truth is far more humbling and far more empowering. Nobody becomes wealthy in isolation. Wealth is not a solo climb. It is a guided ascent. Yes, you'll need discipline, because without it, talent collapses. Yes, you'll need ideas, because without them, hard work gets misdirected. Yes, you'll need persistence, because without persistence, even the best opportunities die on the vine. But above all these, you'll need guidance. You'll need someone who can whisper wisdom into your ear when you're about to make a wrong turn. You'll need people who've already walked the path ahead of you, who can shine a lantern on the road, who can point out where the pitfalls are hidden and where the treasure is buried. Wealth creation is never a solo performance. It is a symphony, and every great symphony has a conductor. That conductor, my friends, is the mentor. Most people underestimate the power of mentors because they've been sold a myth. They think wealth is about luck, being in the right place at the right time, or they think it's about talent, some innate gift that only a few possess, or they think it's about timing, catching the next big wave before anyone else notices. But let me share with you the deeper truth. Wealth is about alignment. It's about aligning yourself with the right principles, the right people, and the right lessons at the right time. A mentor helps you line up your compass so that you're walking north instead of wandering in circles. You see, without a mentor, your learning curve is long and costly. You might waste decades stumbling into mistakes that could have been avoided with one conversation, one piece of advice, one example. But with a mentor, your learning curve collapses. You go from confusion to clarity, from uncertainty to certainty, from wandering to acceleration. That is the secret advantage of mentorship. It compresses time. It allows you to live 10 years of wisdom in 1 year of guidance. And in the wealth game, time is money. Now, you may be wondering, Jim, who exactly are these mentors you're talking about? Do I need a millionaire uncle to hand me the keys to the kingdom? Do I need to bump into a billionaire in a coffee shop who takes me under their wing? Do I need some magical stroke of fate where the perfect teacher arrives at the perfect time? No, not exactly. The mentors I'm talking about are not just individuals with money in their bank account. They are not defined by titles, salaries, or resumes. These mentors are roles, archetypes, and types of wisdom you must gather around you. They represent categories of influence that every wealth builder needs to succeed. You may find them in a person, yes, but you may also find them in a book, in a recording, in a seminar, or even in the habits and practices you build into your life. The point is, these mentors are essential, and without them, the journey is almost impossible. And in my years of studying wealth, I've found that you need 3 of them, 3 distinct mentors, if you truly want to create lasting wealth, and not just temporary riches that slip through your fingers. The first mentor you need is what I call the philosopher. When I say philosopher, I don't mean someone wearing a toga under an olive tree quoting Aristotle. I mean the person who teaches you how to think, because thinking is the seed of wealth. You see, money doesn't start in the wallet, it starts in the mind. A bank account is nothing more than a mirror of your philosophy. If your philosophy is poor, your decisions will be poor, your habits will be poor. Even if money shows up, it will slip away. Your philosophy is rich, your mindset is rich, your outlook is rich. Then the money you earn has a foundation strong enough to last. The philosopher is the mentor who challenges your thinking about money, about success, about failure, about responsibility, and about life itself. They shape your attitudes, and those attitudes eventually shape your fortune. Because here's the truth. Wealth begins in the invisible before it becomes visible. If you think poorly, you'll live poorly. If you think richly, you'll attract riches. That's why you need the philosopher. For me, one of my greatest philosophers was Earl Schoaf. Earl didn't just tell me how to make money, he taught me how to become the kind of person who could handle money. There's a difference, my friends. A fool and his money are soon parted because the fool hasn't been mentored by a philosopher. Earl once told me something I've never forgotten, Jim. Set a goal to become a millionaire, not for the $1 million, but for the kind of person you'll have to become to achieve it. Think about that. He shifted the target from money to personal growth. He showed me that the money is not the real prize. You are. Who you become is what matters most. And once you become the kind of person who can earn and manage $1 million, the $1 million is almost inevitable. That's philosophy. That's perspective. That's the foundation upon which real wealth is built. That's what a philosopher does. They lift your vision higher than the dollar, so that when the dollar comes, it stays. Without the philosopher, you may gain wealth, but you'll lose it because your philosophy is weak. And wealth without philosophy is like building a mansion on sand. Grand at first glance, but eventually it collapses under pressure. The philosopher anchors you to timeless principles, discipline, patience, vision, responsibility, and integrity. They ensure you don't just chase money recklessly, but grow into money wisely. Without this anchoring, you become fragile. The first economic downturn and you're wiped out. The first tempting distraction and you fall for it. The first taste of success and pride takes you down. But with philosophy, you are rooted. With philosophy, you can endure setbacks without breaking. With philosophy, your wealth is not just measured in dollars, but in wisdom. And that, my friends, is why the philosopher is not optional. They are essential. The second mentor you need is the strategist. If the philosopher shapes your mindset, the strategist shapes your methods. You see, money is not just about thinking, it's also about doing. And doing requires systems, tactics, and strategies. The strategist is the mentor who doesn't just inspire you, but equips you. They hand you the blueprint, the playbook, the roadmap. They show you how to turn your mindset into results. The strategist knows the mechanics of wealth, how to invest, how to scale a business, how to leverage assets, how to create multiple streams of income. If the philosopher gives you the foundation of the house, the strategist gives you the bricks, the beams, the walls, and the roof. Without the strategist, you have motivation without execution. You have vision without a vehicle. And let me tell you, dreams without strategy are just daydreams. They won't take you anywhere. The strategist is the mentor who helps you turn dreams into dollars and intentions into income. Imagine for a moment you want to play chess at a world-class level. Having the right mindset is good. It gives you patience, focus, and determination. But let me ask you, without a strategist to show you openings, tactics, and endgames, how far will that mindset carry you? You'll win a few games against beginners, sure, but you'll crumble against real competition. The same principle applies to money. Mindset is essential, but mindset without method will always lose to someone who has both. The strategist is your coach in the arena of wealth. Are the one who says, here's how the game is played, here's where the traps are set, here's how to counter them, and here's how to create opportunities that others miss. You need someone who has already been to the battlefield of business, investments, and finance. Someone who has tested ideas, made mistakes, and come back with scars and trophies. Why? Because they can pass along their strategies to you without you having to pay the full price of learning the hard way. A good strategist transfers not just information but experience, and that is priceless. For me, books often became my strategists. You see, I didn't always have a millionaire sitting across the table ready to teach me their secrets. But what I did have was access to the minds of millionaires through their writings. When I picked up a book by Andrew Carnegie, I wasn't just reading words. I was listening to the strategies of a man who built steel empires. When I read Benjamin Franklin, I wasn't just learning maxims. I was absorbing the strategies of one of the greatest financial minds and entrepreneurs of his age. Today, when I study Warren Buffett, I'm learning decades of investment wisdom compressed into a few pages or lectures. That's the power of the strategist. They don't even need to be in the room to mentor you. Their ideas, if taken seriously and applied consistently, can literally become your income. Don't underestimate the value of a book, a seminar, or a training program. Each can act as a strategist, laying out moves that you can practice, refine, and eventually master until they become your own. And here's something crucial I want you to remember. Don't limit yourself to just one strategist. Wealth is too vast, too complex, too multidimensional to think a single source will give you everything you need. You may need a strategist in business who teaches you how to structure deals and build enterprises. You may need another in investments who shows you how to multiply your money through stocks, real estate, or other vehicles. You may need another in productivity who shows you how to manage your time, your habits, and your focus so you can achieve more with less stress. Each one adds a unique piece to your puzzle of wealth. And let me tell you, trying to figure everything out yourself is far too costly. Or why stumble into the same ditches that someone else already mapped out? Why repeat mistakes that have already been solved 100 times over? Learning from other people's strategies doesn't just save you money. It saves you years, even decades. That's the power of assembling multiple strategists in your corner. The third mentor you need is the encourager. Now, this one might surprise you. The philosopher and the strategist make sense to most people. They understand the value of wisdom and strategy. But the encourager? Many people overlook this one, yet I'll tell you right now, without an encourager, most people quit long before the philosopher's wisdom or the strategist's tactics have time to bear fruit. Wealth creation is not a sprint, it is a marathon. It is long, grueling, and often lonely. There will be nights when you question whether it's worth it. There will be days when all you see are setbacks, losses, and empty accounts. And in those moments, if there isn't someone whispering in your ear, keep going, you're closer than you think, you'll be tempted to give it all up. The encourager may not deposit $1 into your account, but they deposit hope into your heart. And sometimes hope is worth more than money, because hope is what keeps you in the game long enough to eventually win. The encourager takes many forms. Sometimes it's the friend who believes in you when you've lost all belief in yourself. Sometimes it's the spouse who reminds you of the vision you shared when you first began. Sometimes it's the colleague who notices the small wins you're too discouraged to see and celebrates them with you, reminding you that progress is still happening. Encouragement doesn't show up as a check in the mail, but it shows up as energy in your spirit. And let me tell you, energy is the fuel that turns philosophy into action and strategy into results. I've seen people with brilliant philosophies and flawless strategies collapse because they had no one to lift them when they fell. And I've seen others with average philosophies and imperfect strategies succeed simply because they had an encourager who kept them in motion long enough for everything to click. That's the invisible power of encouragement. It sustains you when nothing else will. I'll tell you something I've learned from personal experience. Without encouragement, even the strongest philosophy and the sharpest strategy will eventually die. You and I are human. We doubt, we fear, we grow weary, stumble. And in those dark moments, philosophy feels too abstract and strategy feels too complicated. What we need in those times is not another idea, but another voice. The voice that says, you're not done yet. You can rise again, or you can make it. The encourager becomes the rope that pulls you back up the cliff when you're hanging by your fingertips. They become the mirror that reflects back a stronger version of yourself when you can't see it. And here's the truth. Encouragement doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's just a look, a word, a gesture that says, "I believe in you." And let me tell you, when someone believes in you at the exact moment you've stopped believing in yourself, it can save not just your dreams, but your life. Now you might be thinking, "Jim, this all sounds good, but what if I don't know any philosophers, strategists, or encouragers? What if I'm truly all alone?" My friend, here's the good news. You can find these mentors in many forms, and often in places you least expect. A philosopher might come to you through the pages of a book, a late night lecture you stumble across, or a seminar that stretches your thinking. A strategist might come to you through a podcast, a mentorship program, or a training course that reveals the systems you need. An encourager might come through a community of like-minded people, a friend online who shares your vision, or even through the power of your own self-talk when you discipline your mind to speak positively instead of negatively. Mentorship is not limited to proximity. It is limited only by your willingness to seek it and your humility to receive it. The world is full of mentors waiting to guide you. You just need to open your eyes and start searching. And this brings me to a critical point. Mentors don't always walk into your life wearing a badge that says mentor. They don't always announce themselves with fanfare or hand you a contract. Often, they show up quietly through their work, their words, or their example. It's your responsibility to recognize them, to learn from them, and to apply what they teach. That means you must be willing to humble yourself. You must be willing to say, "I don't know it all. I don't have all the answers. I need guidance." That humility is the doorway to mentorship. Wealth doesn't come to the proud, it comes to the prepared. And preparation often looks like seeking, listening, and applying. If you can develop the habit of spotting mentors in every area of your life, your growth will never stop. But if you close yourself off and insist on figuring it all out alone, you will pay a price in wasted time, wasted energy, and wasted opportunities. Remember, mentors don't just give you wisdom, they save you from unnecessary pain. One of the keys to finding and benefiting from these mentors is learning to ask the right questions. Questions are the bridges that connect you to wisdom. Too many people approach mentors or life itself with shallow questions like, "How do I make more money?" That question is too small, too narrow. Instead, ask the philosopher, "How do I become more valuable as a person?" Because the marketplace doesn't pay you for time, it pays you for value. If you increase your value, your wealth will follow. Ask the strategist, "What system am I missing that could multiply my results?" Because wealth isn't built by working harder. It's built by working smarter through systems that multiply effort. And ask the encourager, "Remind me why I can do this when I feel like quitting." Because sometimes you don't need new information, you need renewed faith. Questions open doors that would otherwise stay locked. And here's the magic. A well-asked question doesn't just draw out wisdom from your mentors, it also draws out wisdom from yourself. You begin to discover answers you didn't even know you had. But let me also give you a warning. Beware of false mentors. Not every philosopher teaches wisdom. Some will fill your mind with limiting beliefs, telling you that money is evil or that success is only for the chosen few. Not every strategist teaches integrity. Some will hand you shortcuts that look attractive but collapse your reputation, your peace of mind, and your future. Not every encourager is sincere. Some will cheer for you, but only because they want you to stay small, to stay dependent, or to never surpass them. A false mentor can do more damage than ignorance because they not only mislead you, but they make you confident in your misdirection. That's dangerous. How do you guard against false mentors? You measure their fruit. Ask, does their wisdom produce strength? Does their strategy produce honest results? Does their encouragement produce courage, not complacency? If the answer is no, then walk away quickly. Because the wrong mentor doesn't just cost you money, they can cost you years. and years are something you can never get back. So let's put it all together. The philosopher shapes your mind. The strategist shapes your method. The encourager shapes your spirit. Together, these three form what I like to call a triangle of strength. And like any triangle, remove one side and the whole structure collapses. If you only have a philosopher, you'll think deeply but may never act effectively. If you only have a strategist, you'll act efficiently but may lack wisdom to keep what you earn. If you only have an encourager, you'll feel motivated but may not have the philosophy or the strategy to turn energy into results. With all three, you are balanced, complete, and nearly unstoppable. The philosopher protects you from ignorance. The strategist protects you from inefficiency. And the encourager protects you from quitting. Wealth creation is not a straight line. It's a journey filled with highs and lows, victories and defeats. But with these three mentors at your side, you'll have the balance to endure, the clarity to act, and the resilience to rise again every time you stumble. Wealth creation is not just about the money. It is about becoming a whole person. Money is only one measure of wealth. And if you stop there, you'll find yourself empty. True wealth means being rich in thinking, rich in skill, and rich in resilience. The philosopher ensures you are rich in wisdom, that you see the world not through scarcity but through abundance. The strategist ensures you are rich in systems, that you know how to turn opportunities into sustainable results. The encourager ensures you are rich in spirit, that you don't lose yourself in the process of building wealth. Together, these mentors make sure your fortune doesn't just show up in your bank statement, but also in your character, your relationships, and your impact on the world. Because here's the truth. The kind of person you become along the way is always more valuable than the money you accumulate. The money may come and go, but the person you become, rich in wisdom, skill, and strength, will remain. That is true wealth. When I was young and broke, I thought money was the answer. I thought if only I could get my hands on more cash, all my problems would disappear. But when I grew older, I realized wisdom was the real answer. And here's the twist. Wisdom brings money. The right mindset attracts the right opportunities. The right strategies convert those opportunities into income. The right encouragement keeps you in the game long enough for everything to bear fruit. If you get the right mentors, you'll get the right wisdom. If you get the right wisdom, you'll make the right choices. And if you make the right choices long enough, the money becomes inevitable. That's why the goal isn't just to chase money, it's to chase wisdom. Because wisdom has a way of attracting everything else you need. And it's the mentors, the philosopher, the strategist, and the encourager who will supply you with that wisdom, each in their unique way. So my advice to you is simple but urgent. Begin your search for your three mentors today. Don't wait for them to knock on your door. You must go out and seek them. Read the books of the philosophers, and don't just read, study them, underline them, meditate on them until their ideas become part of your thinking. Study the systems of the strategists, and don't just study, apply them, test them, refine them until they become part of your method. Surround yourself with the encouragers, and don't just surround yourself, lean on them. Listen to them. Let their belief fuel your action when your own belief falters. Start building your circle of influence carefully and intentionally. Every person you allow into your life either lifts you up, drags you down, or keeps you stagnant. Choose wisely, because your circle of mentors is your circle of destiny. Build it with purpose, and you will find yourself moving toward wealth faster than you ever thought possible. And let me leave you with this final thought. You are closer to wealth than you think, but you will not get there alone. You were not designed to walk this journey in isolation. The philosopher belongs in your mind, shaping your thoughts. The strategist belongs in your plan, shaping your methods. The encourager belongs in your heart, shaping your resilience. With these three at your side, you will not only get rich, you will stay rich. But even more importantly, you will become the kind of person worthy of wealth. the kind of person who can steward riches without being destroyed by them, the kind of person who adds value to others as you add value to yourself. Because in the end, wealth is not just about what you accumulate, it is about what you contribute. And with these mentors guiding you, you will not only achieve financial freedom, you will achieve the kind of life that money alone could never buy.